We want to welcome everybody who has made it and a future welcome to those who will be joining. It's great to see so many people who are interested in walking the Camino. And I know at RAW Travel, it's really positive to see so many people register for this event. And we hope it's informative for you tonight. So just to go over what we'll be covering during the webinar, first we'll do a round of introductions so you know who exactly we are if you don't know us already. We'll do a brief overview of what a Camino is, because some of you might be, this might be your first foray into what a Camino is. We definitely want to answer that. Next year, 2027, will be a holy year. So we'll talk about that. What is a holy year and how it's significant for people and what that means for people traveling. We'll touch on the Camino routes that we do offer at RAW Travel and just kind of go into a brief overview of, what they are, difficulties, just little tidbits to give you a bit more information. And then at the end, hopefully we'll leave enough time for some guest questions. So if we don't cover anything during this webinar, we'll leave some time aside to hopefully answer anything that you have, want to ask us. So without further ado, we'll get started. So just to go over who we are, that's a really deep question, but we'll keep it very specific to the Camino and RAW Travel. So I'll start. My name is Liz Crouch. So I work at RAW Travel. I specialize in particular Camino routes. So the Le Puy in France, the Norte, the Primitivo. Those are the ones I really work with guests on to customize their experience. For myself, my personal experience with the Camino, this photo here is taken in 2017. That was my first Camino experience. I walked the Frances. I ended in Santiago. I really didn't know what trail I was walking. I just knew a lot of people were collecting stamps and there was a uniform direction to go. So I followed everyone and it was an incredible experience. And now I can't get enough. What about you, Adrian?
So I'm Adrian. I like long walks on the beach. Oh, sorry, wrong one. I handle the Spanish and Portuguese Camino. I've walked technically 4 Caminos, and yeah, I've done the full-length Spanish one twice and the Portuguese, and Finisterre. So yeah, that's me.
Hi everyone, my name is Liana Stafford. I'm part of the Camino team as well. I work with the Portuguese Camino and the Camino Frances. I've walked, both of those trails as well as the extension to Finisterre. I walked my first Camino in 2022. I was inspired by a friend who has done a few, and the way she spoke of it just really grabbed my attention. And I guess that's where my interest in the Camino was sparked. After walking that first one, I was just hooked. And yeah, now I work for RAW and they're my trails that I focus on. And I feel inspired to help others have that experience as well.
Nice. So who is RAW Travel?
Well, I guess what we're here to do is to help you plan your Camino. So we try and organize the logistics of your trip so that you can focus on the trail itself and just enjoy your time, absorbing the experience and not having to think about anything else. So we offer self-guided itineraries as well as tailor-made trips. We have independent trips as well as group trips. We really pride ourselves on finding lovely accommodation. Obviously, it varies with the trails we offer, but that's something that's important to us. Authentic, historical where possible. We organise your luggage transfer, so all you need to carry is a day pack, so you've got that freedom of, you can keep walking for longer because you're not feeling the burden of having a pack on your back. We also offer first-hand advice. So we've walked these trails and we always say we know because we go, and it's true. We love hiking, we've walked them, and we offer specifics on the trail. We have a navigation app, which the app is a great tool for getting along the trail. It's a one-stop place where everything lives, your itinerary, hotel details, things like that. We've also got some staff who are locals over in Spain and France. They're support staff. If anything happens, you can contact them in real time, and they're just amazing. They're such an asset to us. And we're a certified B Corp, so we really care about the environment and sustainability. I mean, as a hiking company, that's natural, but it's something that we're all really passionate about as individuals as well.
Yeah. So What is a Camino? That's a question we get sometimes.
Good
And
question.
how do you answer that?
Well, a Camino, it's basically, well, the word Camino means the way. So it's like a route. And the Camino de Santiago is the way to Santiago. So it's basically a pilgrimage. The remains of St. James were interred at the cathedral in Santiago. And there's lots of different ways to get to Santiago. And they're all Caminos. It's all a way to end up in Santiago to, pay reverence to the remains of St. James. Not everybody does that not everybody does it for religious purposes. They can do it for health purposes, social things, just a great walking holiday, a way to really experience somewhere like Spain or Portugal or wherever in more detail and more authentically. And it's just I mean,
You get people from all walks of life. Like, I think on my trail, I did run into people who were doing it for religious reasons, but I also met people who were doing it because, it was a hiking holiday, and it's one of a kind where everything is there to support the hikers. So, there's not one size fits all, or one answer why people do it, but so
with this, with the this particular pilgrimage, there are a few unique things, like I just showed you there, the arrows. So that's a great way to know exactly where you need to go. Just follow the arrows. It's not hard. And then you've got things like these credencials, which is basically a record of where you've been. There's stamps that are collected along the way of restaurants, hotels, things like that, and it shows you sort of where you started, where you finished, places you've been along the way, and it's a lovely record to keep, as well as a way of proving that you have walked a Camino, which is means you get one of those certificates. You can see at the back there. Then there's also the shell, which identifies you as a pilgrim. There's many different uses for the shell. But it's got some really lovely, unique properties to the Camino. Now you can see somebody really enjoying arriving into Santiago in front of the cathedral, showing their fully filled out credential.
Yeah, a happy pilgrim.
And it's such a special experience, isn't it? Like arriving into Santiago on foot. It's hard to explain in words. I think it's unique. It's different for everyone.
Very euphoric.
Euphoric is a perfect word for it.
When you hear that, the bagpipes as you come through the archway, it just you tear up. You can't help it.
Hopefully that goes over just what a Camino is. There's many routes, but generally the direction is the same, the goal is the same, and they all follow a very similar pattern. So, spot prize time. So we only have 2 of these in our webinar, so this is the first of 2. So what spot prizes are, they're a way for you to stay engaged, also a way for you to potentially win prizes. Now, what is the prize, you might ask? So what we're going to be handing or sending out to 2 lucky winners of this are our Camino packs. So Camino packs are essentially what we send to our guests who are pre-booked on our trip. So if you're booked on a 2026 Camino, you might want to hold off because your Camino pack will either have arrived or will be coming soon. Really, so what we have here, so what's in a Camino pack?
Yeah, so it's basically what you see on screen. So you've got a luggage tag, which is if you're walking the trail, it connects to your bag, and that's so that the luggage transfer company know where to take your things. You've got your pilgrim's passport, which, where you get your stamps daily, minimum of 2 stamps per day. A dry bag, which we have this for the purpose of collecting rubbish along the trail or storing your own rubbish. It's also great for if it's, heavy downpour, you can throw your phone in, your passport, things like that you want to protect. as well as a hiker's buff, which, in case you don't know, a buff can be used around your head, around your neck, wrist. It's great when it's hot, great when it's cold. You can literally run it underwater and it'll just cool you down. So everything is really practical and things that you can use on the trail.
Yeah, so how you're going to play, and we're going to get to our question. We're going to go to the next slide, which has a question. So you are going to enter the answer in the chat. We have a team, and it could be compared to NASA's board of people looking at the screen. So we are watching. So all you need to do to play is when we get to the question, you type in the answer. This is Camino trivia. So again, and we would try to steer away from Googling it, but you know, you never know. If some people want to win, they want to win. So what is our first question? Adrian.
What is the swinging incense burner in the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela called?
So
you either know it or you don't.
Yeah. We'll do a thing, and this is what we're talking about. Now, survey team, do we have a winner? Wow, that was fast.
So
you guys are keyboard warriors. All right. So what is this called, Adrian?
The Botafumero.
Oh wow. So what is this, and why do pilgrims?
Well, basically, it was a way to ward off the smell of the pilgrims.
Oh, I thought it was just me when they told me that.
So all the pilgrims would arrive into Santiago, go straight to the cathedral, and they hadn't showered for who knows, smelling very ripe.
Yeah.
And so they came up with this. Basically, they put the incense inside it, and then the somebody gives it a little nudge, and then the guys on the left there, I think there's usually six of those swingers.
Yeah. Not swing at
well, who knows in their private life, but anyway.
But I find so a lot of guests ask us, because it's a huge highlight to go to Santiago, attend the pilgrims mass, and we get, I want to see the Buddha Primero, and sadly the answer to that is
no, unfortunately it only is officially swung about 5 or 6 times a year, only on certain holidays and things like that, but it can be swung if somebody pays for it. So it's 500 euros, not cheap. Really the only way that it is paid for is when a busload of tourists come in, and the tour director will get everybody to chip in 20 euros, 30 euros. They'll get priority seating, and they get to see this firsthand. So you never know when it's going to be swung, but I've been there 4 times and I've seen it every single time. So there's a pretty good chance that it's going to go.
Yeah, so if you catch it, it's a really lucky thing. If you don't, they hold multiple masses during a single day. You could just make sure to go.
Yeah, you miss it once and you try again later.
Yeah, so amazing who answered that. We have your contact details, and we will be shipping your Camino pack. We got one more spot prize, so if you didn't win, you have another chance. Now, coming into it, so some of you might be attending because maybe next year you're looking to walk the Camino, and next year, 2027, will be a Camino Holy Year. So a Holy Year is essentially when the St. James feast day, 25th of July, falls on a Sunday. Now, Holy Years do not happen every, 2, 3. It's a very odd number of patterns, 11 years, 6 years, 5 years. And the most recent Holy Year was in 2021, but that got extended to 22. And Liana has a funny story about that because you walked that year.
Yeah, so I was on my Camino Frances in 2022, which was an extension of the Holy Year. It was extended because of COVID. So obviously a lot of people weren't able to travel in those times, so they extended it. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to walk a Camino in a Holy Year, and I didn't actually know it at the time. It was sort of something I learned when I was along the trail from other pilgrims, but it was really special arriving in Santiago and having that experience of walking in a Holy Year, because obviously it doesn't happen often.
No. Yeah. So next year, 2027, will be a Holy Year. And then if you can't do that, then your next spot is 2032. And then after that, 2038. So, next year definitely is a ripe year to be walking if this is something important to you. Now, what's so special about walking a Holy Year? So it does have a lot of significance, especially religious significance, because in particular for Catholics, it's a very special time where plenary indulgence. I can't get the
You received plenary.
You're trying to say
plenary. Sorry, it's my mouth, but you can say it.
Plenary indulgence.
And what does that mean essentially?
So basically, you're cleared of all sin,
and
so
you feel lighter. No?
Yes,
yeah.
Everything that's happened in your life beforehand is just, it refreshes it all. So for people like for Catholics, it's a very significant thing, and obviously that's amazing to be able to walk through that door and have that experience.
But this isn't the door we're talking about. So this is definitely the photo you see right now. This is the square that most pilgrims finish in when they complete their Camino, and that is the Santiago Cathedral. And it's a really euphoric moment because when you enter this ginormous square, you see people all around you hugging, kissing. It's you're just wrapped with emotions, and that is a main door of the cathedral. But really, what's special about Holy Years is the fact you can enter through the Holy Door, which is not open most of the time. It's only open on these very special years, which is this. So this is the Holy Door, which is actually around the near rear of the cathedral. It's called Porta Santa, and you can see here it's got gates in front of it. So on years that aren't a holy year, you can't go through this door. But on a holy year, there's a big ceremony the night before the year begins, where basically they open this door, and it remains open for the holy year, so pilgrims can walk through, and that is a really special thing for a lot of people. Now, and where does this holy door lead to? So what is that?
That is the remains of St. James. So they were discovered in 800. So I'm not sure about the DNA testing back in 800, but we take their word for it that St. James's remains are actually interred in that vault.
Yeah, and so we did get a question we can answer now. So what is the start and the end date of the holy year?
Well, it's the actual year.
Yeah.
So because that ceremony is done on the 31st of December, going into the 1st of January, and the holy year goes for the whole year.
Exactly. So even though we have a walking season, but it's pilgrims are walking all year round, and it's that time. So to wrap up, if you're walking next year or any holy year, the big things that you're going to notice when you're a pilgrim, what would that be?
The influx of other pilgrims. So it's very important if you are planning to go next year to get in early, because the availability of hotels and things like that is going to go very quickly. So you don't want to dawdle when booking a trip for next year for sure.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about next year, now is the time to plan, because that's when everybody is going to be planning, and we are the experts and can help you with that. So don't hesitate to reach out. But yeah, Holy Year is a very special year, and you definitely want to be planning a bit earlier than you think you want to or think you should. But let's go into the Camino routes that RAW Travel offers.
Yeah, so there's 5 main ones that we do. The Camino Francis, which is your main pilgrimage. Then there's the Del Norte across the north, the Primitivo, which is the first Camino, the Portuguese Camino, which again is coastal and goes up along the Portuguese coast, and Le Puy. I don't think I quite pronounced that right.
Le Puy. I get a lot of Le Puys, but that's not French.
So that one doesn't actually finish in Santiago. It starts in Le Puy, finishes in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. So with the Camino Francis, if you hear people referring to the Camino, this is the one they're talking about. So this is the main one. Starts in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port over in France itself. So if you are doing the full length, make sure you arrive from France. It's difficult to get to Saint-Jean across the border from Spain. And then it goes 800 kilometers across the north of Spain and ends up in Santiago. So this is Saint-Jean, typical French architecture. This is where you start, and this is some of the things you'll see along the way. So there's some really iconic things with this particular walk. That middle one at the top, that's actually a wine fountain. And yes, they fill it up every day, and every day you can go there just get wine from the tap. But don't take too much.
But you have to keep moving. You got to walk.
Yeah. It's not. It's it's for novelty purposes, not for replenishing your wine bottles. The one on the top there, that's the Cruz de Ferro. That's where you lay a stone, which you are supposed to bring from home, and is symbolic of letting go of your past and who you were, and becoming something new. Some of the trails down below, it really does vary a lot. So you've got like the bottom right picture there is the vineyards of La Rioja. The one on the bottom left looks like it's probably in Sarria. So it really does vary. You've got mountains, you've got open plains of the Meseta. And, the food is amazing, which also varies from province to province. That one on the top right there is pulpo, a specialty of Galicia. And the bottom left picture there is also that wine fountain that I was talking about. Somebody there is using the traditional shell to replenish.
The bottom photo, we talk about
it's very indicative. They say that you find your own Camino family. So it's the people that you see again and again, basically doing the same itinerary as you. You end up in the same towns. You all get together and share all your experiences. You get to know people. Like, people are telling you their life story 10 minutes after they've met you. It's really quite amazing. It's a real communal feel.
And with our trips, it's interesting. So, we are a bit unique because we don't provide lunches and dinners. That's not included in our packages. But really, when you know the Camino and you know what's important and what people talk about, it's those meals, those exchanges, and we really want to give our travelers the freedom to, like this, you meet people along the way and immediately you're like, hey, where are you going for dinner and lunch? And it really is a part of the journey as much as the walking.
Definitely. And to have
this meeting is being recorded.
Oh, sorry about that. And if you're a cyclist, you can also cycle the Camino. Some people like to cycle part of the Camino across the middle section, the Meseta, which is very flat, without, sort of a lot to see visually, I guess. But we do recommend that, only genuine cyclists do cycle it, because it's not an easy alternative to walking. So yeah, if you are a cyclist, it's also a great way to experience it.
And it really is when people ask us about, we get varying hiking levels, and a lot of that comes into what trails we suggest. And this really is a unique one that it is accessible to almost anybody.
It is, yeah. There's and so much variation to it. You've got mountains, you've got plains. You really have everything. So it's a perfect first experience because it is so Camino-y. But it really gives you a beautiful taste of Spain and all the different things that it has to offer.
Absolutely, yeah. And keeping with Spain, so another Camino route that we offer that also is in Spain, but the northern part of Spain, is Camino del Norte. And this one definitely is gaining a little bit more and more, recognition and popularity. So this one, as you can see, it goes along the northern coast of Spain. It starts in Iran and it finishes in Santiago. So this is over 800 kilometers in total length, and it takes around 5 to 6 weeks to do in full. But again, our itineraries, we can do snippets. San Sebastian de Bilbao is a real highlight section and a great taste for people looking to explore other Camino routes. And what makes this trail really unique is, a lot of it is the cities. A lot of these cities that you're going to pass are, iconic in their own right. San Sebastian, which is foodies paradise and amazing, like pinchos, Michelin-starred restaurants. You have Bilbao here, where you're right in front of the Guggenheim, Santander, and then, you're walking along the northern coast and you're finding these incredible beaches that are really quite hidden and untouched by tourism. So is really scenic. You got the mountains on one end and you got the ocean on the other, and you're passing through 4 unique regions with their own culture, language. So there's a lot of variety in this hike. As you can see, this is a tiny beach, or not tiny, but a beach in Noha, which a lot of people don't know about, but it's gorgeous. And this is in August. So really, great for people who love that variety of scenery. What you would see on the walk when you're doing it, again, fishing villages, some larger cities, but then tiny rural fishing areas. This is a town called Cudiero, which is really quite a tiny little pazzitano for those who travel in Italy. Like you can see, it just weaves and wanes, and it's just tucked into this mountain range. Quite hidden, but it's on the trail, and you discover these unique gems along the walk. And it really is something really a well-kept secret. Not a lot of tourists around. I would say the food is a huge highlight. If you're a seafood fan, this is your walk. I mean, you can see the photos here from Popo, but you also have Iberico ham. This is my partner from last year. We walked, and that actually is a machine that pumps cider, which is very common on this route. You can see you have a half full glass. That's a big no-no. We were actually laughed at the restaurant. So with this machine, you're really supposed to do a half thumbs with or full of the glass, and you take it like a shot, because it's all about drinking it fresh, and it's that fresh seafood, fresh cider, fresh wine. So food is a huge highlight of this route. How difficult is it? Well, I mean, we don't like to use the F word in the Norte, which is flat. So you can see here, it's a lot of hills, a lot of ups and downs. It's definitely longer distances than other hiking routes. And really that's due to, with the Camino Frances, you have this robust infrastructure that really is unlike any other, because it's there to support the hikers. When you start getting to these other Camino routes that are not as popular, you don't have that infrastructure there to support the hiker. So really you are hiking from town to town, and those towns could be 30K apart with limited infrastructure. So keep in mind, when you start going on to less walked Camino routes, you do kind of have to adjust to what that terrain is like. So hilly, longer distances requires a bit more planning and preparation. You might have to look at your trail notes the night before, by lunch the morning, because you might not pass any towns along the way. So definitely it's a route for a particular walker. And the weather is also something. So as much as you get those sunny beaches and really like amazing weather, sometimes you get that coastal weather as well, which can change like that. So this was in August, which is technically a hot time along in Europe, but we had rain, we had wind, we had everything in one day. So weather can change pretty quickly. So again, that really reinforces you need to be prepped before you go. You need your rain jacket. You want to know what you're doing the day before. So if that's something that's appealing to you and you like that, it's a great trail. But if you're looking for a little less preparation, then maybe something else that has a little less of that involved.
And the cows are lovely too.
And the cows are lovely. We made friends with this one. Now, going into that, we're going to steer into the Primitivo, which you can connect the Primitivo with the Norte. So instead of going along the northern coast, you can split down to Oviedo. So that's what makes these two routes a bit connected, that you can trail into the other. So the Primitivo, which technically is the oldest Camino in that Camino network, it starts in Oviedo with a midpoint in Lugo and ends in Santiago. So it's over 300 kilometers in total distance from Oviedo to Santiago, and it takes around 12 to 18 days to hike in total length. What makes it special is it is the first Camino, and a lot of people say it's a very authentic Camino, which means, when we think about the history of the pilgrimage and what pilgrims went through, and, it wasn't really this safest route to do back in then. We're thinking
that's an understatement.
Yeah, so we're thinking of, there was no Wi-Fi, there were no buses, there were no luggage transfers. So really the Primitivo, because it doesn't have as many resources and infrastructure, you really do get into the remote region of Galicia, and it can feel quite, back in time, which some people love. Some people, it's, I'd rather be, they want to go on the Frances, where there's a bit more to support the pilgrims. again, this is in Oviedo. The culture, and you start in Asturias and then you go into Galicia. It's just really beautiful. This is in August, and August in Spain is really, famous for a lot of festivals. A lot of the different towns are celebrating what makes them unique, and this was just a festival we stumbled upon in Oviedo, and they were doing traditional dances in their dresses. How difficult is the Primitivo? Uh, I would say it's the most challenging. If you're looking for the most challenging, it's this one. So you're going through remote mountain ranges, not as many services available, steep climbs, fewer services, less hikers. So, if you're somebody who likes that type of hiking, this is going to be a great option. If that kind of intimidates you, I would start with something a little bit more supported, whether it's a Frances, or this would kind of be the last one I would go to, building on your Camino, repertoire. Portfolio, as you do. But it's definitely more preparation, fewer services, fewer people, and definitely it is mountainous. So that's something to keep in mind. Oh, Portugal.
Portuguese Camino. So we offer the Portuguese Camino as the coastal route as well as part of the central route, and we also have the spiritual variant. Our most popular walked, version is the Porto to Santiago section, which takes around 15 to 18 days, depending how you want to make the itinerary. So obviously with this trail, you start in Portugal and then you end up in Spain. So if you go from Porto to Santiago, it's about half-half. You're half walking through Portugal and half walking through Spain, which I think is just awesome because you get to experience a bit of both countries, a bit of both cultures, obviously such a amount of diversity along the trail. So the sort of things you're going to see on this trail are obviously you've got that incredibly rugged Atlantic coastline that you're walking up against from like the first half if you're walking from Porto. So you really are pressed up along the coastline. The first few days as you exit Porto and coming through some of those little towns and villages, this is sort of what some of the walking is like. Some of it's boardwalks, some of it is on gravel. It's very flat the first few days. Then after a few days, you head into some gentle mountain ranges. They're not really mountains. They're just gentle ups and downs. It's undulating, but it's not massive. We never say, Portuguese Camino has any huge climbs because it's a lot more gentle than some of than say like the first few days of the Camino Frances. That being said, the flatter walking can be just as hard on the body in some ways because you are sort of going in that same sort of rhythm for a while. You're really walking like there's sand dunes, boardwalks, you've got cobblestones in some sections, underfoot, you're walking through forests. It's really beautiful, and obviously with that comes the food as well, which is just for me such a highlight. I'm such a foodie. And
where is this lady from?
Oh, she was this gorgeous woman that was around Pontevedra, which is you're in on the Spanish side by that point, and I actually smelt that paella before I saw it.
How many people was she feeding?
I know.
So yeah. And that was just a really, humble, small, like authentic Spanish restaurant that wasn't really in a big town or anything. And they're the sort of things that you experience daily on the trail.
And then you get Portuguese tarts.
Portuguese tarts.
Oh, yeah. As long as that's
the Portuguese tarts are you're spoiled. You're spoiled with the food overall on these trails, and obviously lots of fresh seafood because you are right up against the Atlantic. And the spiritual variant, which Adrian has walked, is also something that we can intertwine as well.
So the spiritual variant is, it's basically just 2 days of the normal Portuguese Camino taken out and replaced with 3 separate days. So it's actually the route that St. James's remains were supposed to have taken going up the river. So it does include a river cruise, cruise boat ride. There are some very steep sections in it. So, if you're worried about, climbing or difficulty, you may not want to do it, but it also includes some of the most beautiful walking I've ever done. Some really ethereal sort of settings along this river that's, it was all overhung. It was just magic. Really, really pretty. But it does include a boat ride, and technically, if you do that boat ride, it means you are not eligible for the certificate at the end. So something to keep in mind. But having said that, they're not going to check that in that bigger detail, so you can probably get away with it. But one thing I would like to say about the Portuguese as well, if you're limited to July and August, the Portuguese could be a good option for you because you at least get that sea breeze happening. So, like in the middle of the Camino Francis through the Meseta, it can be like an oven, whereas on the Portuguese, at least you've got a bit of a sea breeze.
And now, so the last one we'll talk about with the ones we offer are the Puy. So this one, it starts in the Puy-en-Velay, which is just an hour and a half from Lyon, but it actually finishes in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, so at the beginning of the Camino Francis. So it's important for people if they want to finish in Santiago, this trail technically doesn't. It's a beautiful trail over 700 kilometers in rural countryside France. If you are a Francophile or you love France or French culture, this is going to be something you want to look into. It has a lot of beautiful villages along the way. Technically, they're called Le Plus Beau Village, which is a specific designation they give to these villages. This is in Conques, which is Le Plus Beau Village. And you can see some of these are photos from our guests from last year. I mean, sunflower, lavender fields. It's just beautiful open vistas, but then you have the charming French countrysides along the way.
I might just jump in and quickly ask a question with
that. And have a number of pilgrims on the Le Puy.
Yeah.
So I would say for the whole year, you are going to see an uptick in numbers across all Camino routes. So Le Puy might be different because it doesn't finish in Santiago. But nonetheless, the holy years bring an influx of pilgrims amongst all the Camino routes. The Camino Frances, I think, is going to experience the most, which is why you want to plan in advance if that's a trail you want to explore. But just expect on all the trails, there's going to be more people.
Yeah, and people doing the Le Puy also do the Frances. So
yeah, that takes 3. We've had a couple clients do that, and if you have 3 to 4 months free and you're looking to do that, we're happy to plan it for you. But it's definitely a long journey. But I would say the Le Puy is really accessible for a lot of people. Definitely run into the same situations where some distances can't be shortened, but for the majority, we really can tailor most of the sections to suit all hikers. Oh, and this is just a photo of French food and just gloriousness. I mean, if you love French cuisine, you're going to love this hike because you have markets, you have, croissants, you have duck, you have Malbec wine. I mean, it's just,
oh la la,
just incredible French food along the way, and it changes as you move along the trail. So it's probably one of my favorites, and definitely one that's growing in popularity. And just more photos of the beautiful Le Puy. Spot prize time. All right, so this is the second one, the last one. We only have 2, and this one actually is going to plug into this new Camino route we are going to be launching as of today. So, question, Liana,
So, can you guess the new RAW Travel Camino route that finishes in Santiago?
Oh, we're looking at people. Now, we can talk about it, and it might give some. So it ends in Santiago. That should be a big clue that it completes in Santiago. This one is definitely a shorter Camino.
Maybe good for the English.
Oh, hint. There's 2 starting points technically that go into one route that finishes in Santiago. One is a bit shorter, but the other one definitely you can qualify for a credencial. How are we looking? Has anybody guessed it? Yes. All right. Well, congrats to whoever got it. And so Camino Inglés is going to be RAW Travel's new Camino edition. This one we're really excited to announce. So this one, you can see you have 2 starting points. You have Ferrol or I Coruña. And this one traditionally was a lot of people from I'm losing my words right now, but essentially they arrived by boats to the ports in Spain, either in Faro or A Coruña, and they walked and did their pilgrimage in Santiago. Now, an important thing, you do have two starting points, but really the important thing to know is Faro to Santiago is the only one that you can qualify for a credencial because it is over 100 kilometers. A Coruña to Santiago is 75K, so really that route is going to be applicable if you're really short on time and you're not necessarily, fussed about getting a credencial in Santiago. This route is going to be really special for people who maybe they want to do their first Camino, but they're looking for something a little bit more quiet. The terrain is definitely similar to Sari de Santiago, which is a more moderate hike. So we can definitely tailor to shorter distances, 15K, or maybe you want to do a bit more. But there's a lot of variations in this, which make it a great option for people who want to start a Camino, looking for that next Camino route. As we said, it's a moderate overall hiking. There's some hills, but it's not very, less demanding than longer routes. It's very well marked, and I would say definitely suitable for beginners, basic level fitness. Definitely good to have some hiking under your belt. And just these are photos of our guests from last year who hiked, not necessarily on the Inglés, but on the Sari de Santiago. And it just says this route is a great option for those looking to maybe explore quieter Camino routes, and it could be their first time. Now, we're getting to, we have some questions. So we wanted to leave a lot of time to answer your questions, which we have here. So hopefully, and I'll preface this, these are Camino specific questions, relationship questions.
Like, pay for another.
Yeah, you can call Adrian a little.
My number is 0.
Okay, so Adrian, I'll hand you ask the first one from our guest.
For Maria, thank you very much, Maria. With the walks that end in Santiago, does that mean you qualify for dual pilgrim? Yeah, so a dual pilgrim is somebody that has completed at least the 100 kilometers of any Camino and gotten their certificate there, as well as the Camino Kodo, which is in Japan. So they're kind of sister walks. So if you complete one and get the certificate and you complete the other, you're known as a dual pilgrim. So yeah, absolutely. But you do have to get the certificate, and you have to end up in Santiago having walked the last 100 kilometers, or if you're cycling, 200 kilometers. So just something to be aware of.
And we do offer the Camino Kodo.
Oh yeah, we have
a Japan.
Yeah.
Plugging Japan as well. All right, this has your name all over it.
Marie, thank you for your question. So how long is the Portuguese route? So the Portuguese coastal Camino, our most commonly walked one, is 264 kilometers. So it can be walked in 12 to 18 days, depending on, rest days and things like that. If you want to walk the longer section, the Lisbon to Santiago section is 38 days as per our itinerary. If you're looking at a shorter version, the central route from Tui to Santiago is an 8-day itinerary.
Yeah. All right.
Question.
I'll go for Narelle. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry. Where do you get your daily stamps from? Are the spots easily noticeable? I can definitely answer this one. So my first Camino, I was like going stamp crazy because you can get them from anywhere. So generally you want to get them from your accommodation. So, get it from your hotel every time or your accommodation you're staying at. But you can go in churches, you can go in cafes,
Sometimes you'll just come up to a tree and there'll be like a bit of string hanging down with a stamp on it, and you can just get a stamp that way. They're literally everywhere.
Yeah, so keep on the lookout. If that's your thing, you will find them, and they will be very noticeable. But definitely accommodations and churches are places, and like you say, some people will stamp your passport, others you can do a self-stamp. So they're really...
Just bear in mind, Liz went a bit crazy with her stamp. So there's only a certain amount of squares to put things in, but you can, like my first Camino that I walked, my credencial from that, is two joined together, with like sticky tape through
I
the
know.
middle of it, so that I had enough room for the stamp. So
Yeah, and you can get your another passport because I had that. I ran out of space and I had to get another. But again, they're really easy to find, and I mean, go crazy. It's part of the fun.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. Another great question from Lay. So, do vegetarians and pescatarians have good meal options? Yes. Yeah. So we include breakfast as part of our trips. Breakfast is usually like a buffet continental style in some places. It's a bit more modest in other places, depending on your trail. Yeah. So vegetarian options. That's something that Camino Francés and the Portuguese Camino, I know for sure you've got options. Obviously, you're spoiled for choice with an abundance of seafood on the Portuguese Camino Trail. Any dietary requirements, it's pretty good in the bigger places and on the Francés and the Portuguese Trail. For some of the Primitivo and the Dante, would you say the same?
Keep in mind, what I like to say to guests is, if you're traveling in Australia and you're going to a small country town, the options will be very limited because the resources are limited. And I use that same thing. When you go to bigger cities, they have a lot more experience, vegan, vegetarian. But when you're going to a town where the population is 3,000, you might need to be a bit flexible. A big thing I tell a lot of my travelers is get a card and get it laminated and translated into the language you're going. So if it's Spanish, if you're gluten-free, have something that says, I'm gluten-free, what are your options? But translate it to Spanish. And that way, if people don't speak English, at least you can communicate, especially if it's a very important dietary requirement that, like, if you're really allergic, you're going to get the message across.
Yeah, definitely for things like gluten intolerance or if you're celiac, things like that, it is worth doing what Liz said. But yeah, I think it's just like traveling anywhere. You just got to be a couple of steps ahead, maybe carry some snacks if you ever get caught out.
But also, 500,000 people walk the Camino.
Yeah.
So you're going through these small towns, but the Camino is their livelihood. And they need to cater to the people going through there. 500,000 people, you're going to get a fair amount of vegetarians, vegans, and what have you. So, they need to cater to those people. So they're like more and more, there's going to be more options for, specific meal requirements, just because, they want the business. It makes sense to them to offer it. It's like, more people that eat there, the more they make.
Yeah. Adrian, this has. You have one?
I have one here from Maria. I'm not sure if we've got a few Marias, but is there a minimum number of stamps for it to be considered a credencial? Not a minimum amount of stamps in total, but for the last section from Sarria de Santiago, that's 115 kilometres. And a lot of people do that section, and some people cheat. So some people drive it and will stop and get a stamp. Buses, you get bus loads of people that take them from one town to the next, and they're still getting stamps. So for that last 115 kilometres, they do have a rule that you need 2 stamps a day. So that's something to be aware of. The rest of the trip and the rest of the places.
And that's on Frank has asked.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
Frank
has asked the same thing. Is the intention to collect 1 stamp a day? Yes, up until the last 100 kilometres. The Portuguese, it would be from Vigo. So again, you would need to get 2 stamps every day to be valid. Again, how pedantic they are at the pilgrims office and how detailed they check, that's kind of up to the person that you're dealing with, I guess. But you don't want to cheat. You're doing it right. You're walking it, so why not do it right?
So this is a good one.
Yeah, Nikki, thanks for your question. Is it worth going to the ocean once you get to Santiago? So I'm assuming you're talking about Finisterre. I've walked to Finisterre, and I think it's a beautiful way to end your Camino.
It really is,
yeah, you get to Santiago and it's almost, you know, it's such a huge experience, and it's sad to think, oh, this is where I finish my Camino. It's a really nice way to come off the experience to continue on to the coastline, to Finisterre, and obviously like the walking to Finisterre is really beautiful as well.
Yeah, it's some of the nicest walking. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Finisterre but you don't have the time, or you don't want to walk it, you can do it as a day tour. Either, you know, a proper coach, you know, where they give you commentary, they'll stop for lunch, maybe take you on to Muxía as well. But you can get the public bus just straight from Santiago to Finisterre. You know, go out to the lighthouse yourself, walk around by yourself, and then get a public bus back. But just know that if you do that, all of our packages include 2 nights, or most of them include 2 nights in Santiago, because we believe that having a full day there is very worthwhile. If you want to go on to Finisterre and you want to do it as a day trip, make sure when you're doing the planning that you're getting enough days in Santiago.
So I got one from Karen, which I think is good. I'm worried I don't have the right shoes recommendation. So this is definitely, we're a hiking company and we can help you with that, Karen. So it depends on the route, but most of the Caminos, I would say trail runners are really great options. Keep in mind, these aren't, you know, we're not walking up like a Mont Blanc or something. You don't necessarily need to have that ankle support unless advised otherwise. But you know, trail runners are great. Something comfortable, well worn in is a huge thing. You don't want to buy brand new shoes and then go take them out on the Camino straight away, because that's blisters, and you just need to wear your shoes. And so, for instance, I got mine recently. I'm about to go out next year. I got from what's that shoe company that does trail runners? It starts with an SH.
Solomon. No.
Solomon. No, it doesn't start with an SH. Solomon trail runners. I've literally taken them on dog walks, everything, getting them nice and beat up so they're nice and comfortable, and you've really gotten those calluses built up. Adrian, do you have a particular shoe recommendation?
Well, I used a boot for my first Camino and then a shoe for my second one.
Yeah.
And they've each got good and bad points about them. But the beauty of doing it the way we do it is that your main luggage is transferred on. So you don't have to worry about the weight. Well, you know, you need maximum 20 kilos, but you don't need to worry about the weight of what you're actually carrying. So you can actually take more than one pair of shoes. So, you know, take a boot for when it's raining and, you know, you think you're going to be going through mud, and take a nice airy pair of shoes for fine days, and then wake up in the morning, look out the window and decide which one you're going to use.
I'm actually a firm believer in hiking sandals as well, for my feet anyway, and I know I've got a lot of clients who have said,
used them.
Yeah, I feel that, yeah, if you experience blisters commonly, they're good, because you can still wear socks with them if you know you want that extra support.
If you don't mind the fashion faux pas.
The fashion of the trail is something else. It's incredible.
I think wearing them in, taking them for a lot of test runs before you head out is key, because you don't want to be breaking them in on the trail. I slipped way too many blisters my first Camino with people who bought them the day before, and it really deterred their hiking. So wear them in a lot before you take them out.
Yeah. I just want to quickly jump back to Camino de Finisterre. Dawn, your question about how long it takes. We offer it in a 5 to 6 day itinerary. If you wanted to tack it onto the end of a, you know, Camino Francés or a Portuguese Camino once you get to Santiago, or if you wanted to do it on its own. So we, it's about 4 days of walking itself.
4 days of walking.
But then that extra day before or after.
And this is a good question on that, because somebody's asked, do you get a certificate?
Yes, yeah, you can. There's actually a separate certificate which you get in Finisterre. You'd have to ask the hotel to point you in the right direction, because it's like this little door you wouldn't even know apart from the queue of people waiting to get a certificate. So yes, you can get a certificate just for that. It's 80 kilometers to Finisterre.
Yeah.
So, Catherine, you asked a good question, which I think it goes into our accommodation. So, are many accommodations off the trail needing taxis to get to or from, back? And I think that goes into kind of what accommodations we use and also the ones that are located off the trail.
Yeah. So we basically get the best available hotels in the smaller towns.
Private, which is very important. So we're
Private
not doing
en-suites.
we're not doing dorms where it's 20 bunk beds in one room and a bathroom for men and women. So we specialize in your own room, ensuite bathroom.
Yeah. But there are some very small towns where there might not be any hotels, where we might have to use an albergue, for example. Always it will be a private ensuite room. There may be instances, depending on when you book and the availability, where we can't get something in the actual town. So it might be, 3, 4, 5 kilometres. If it's off the Camino trail itself, yes, transfers will be provided. If it's still on the Camino trail and just sort of swaps your days around with the mileage, probably not. But if you are off the trail, and there are some real highlight hotels that are a little bit out of town, then yes, transfers are provided.
Chelsea, your question about the Holy Year, does it affect all of the Camino paths? There is an influx to all the Caminos during Holy Year. If you're interested in statistics, you can actually jump on the Pilgrims Office website. They've got a page where you can see the number of pilgrims per year. And if you go to the holy years, you can see there's definitely more people for all trails. It's not as significant to all trails. Definitely the Camino Frances and the Portuguese, though, from when I've looked, it's definitely an influx. So it is worth getting in sooner than later if you want to book.
All right, we're getting to the last couple minutes, so we're gonna do some rapid fire. So when is the best time to go? It really depends on what Camino route. If it's a coastal route, you can get away with doing in the summer months, so June to September, because again, you have that coastal breeze. Anything that's inland, so the Lafui, the Camino Frances, you really want to do in the shoulder seasons, because again, those are going to be when the temperature is really at its mildest. So April, May, June, September, October, Camino Frances, Lafui, Camino Inglés. Maybe you could get away with doing it in June. But just anything coastal you can do in the summer months, have a little bit more room. Anything inland, you're going to want to avoid the summer months. Hopefully that's a good answer. All right, next one.
So if you get injured but not seriously, can you still travel on the route via public transport? So keeping in mind that could affect your pilgrim's passport and your Compostela in Santiago, but some sections, so Portuguese and the Camino Frances, when you're going from town to town and you're in the more built up areas, I would say yes, it is possible, but we don't bet on it. Definitely worth chatting with your hotels where you're staying for the best local advice on that.
And Gary, is there a different certificate if you complete the full Camino instead of the last 115? No, it's the same certificate. You can get an extra certificate, which is a mileage certificate. And there's also a half Camino.
Thanks, Adrian. We're gonna wrap it up because we've got less than 1 minute. So, questions: when can we book Lafui for 2027? When can we book 27? After Easter, we will be releasing 2027 rates, but get in contact with us now because planning takes time. And then finally, Bree, Debbie, congrats for winning the prizes. We will be mailing them. We need your addresses so we can ship them away, or we'll email you. And again, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions we didn't answer, reach out to us, please do. And we can't wait to plan your Camino journey. From all of us at RAW Travel, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.